Ghostbusters Inc. by Lee Eisenberg and Gene Stupnitsky. Fade in, interior hallway night. Two security guards, Reg and Don, walk side by side, their flashlight beams streaking throughout the hallway ahead. They both look bored out of their wits. One of them cradles a steaming cup of coffee in his left hand.
So my first reaction is to just turn the thing off. But no, she says, you got to power it down first. Otherwise, it won't turn back on. So I'm trying to find the button on this thing. And what do you know? The damn power goes out.
Third time in a month. Not sure what Con Ed's getting paid for if they can't even keep this island lit up.
So now here I am running around this apartment, banging into shin-high coffee table, stepping on cats, and she's screaming from the dark that I didn't power it down before I turned it off. And I'm screaming back at her, the damn power went out. Am I going to get the blame for that too?
The two security guards come around the corner, both stopping dead in their tracks, staring gap-jawed at the hallway beyond them. It's absolutely wrecked, and half of the items down the hallway are floating in midair.
Donnie?
Reggie?
What the hell do we do? Didn't we get this place checked out last year?
I don't know.
Slowly, the tables, chairs, and assorted free-floating furniture all begin creaking in midair, turning to face the two security guards.
I really think we should probably head back and report this.
I don't think we should move.
Suddenly, a low growling begins to build in pitch and resonance, shaking the walls with the supernaturally suspended furniture. A voice booms, uttering some unknowable language.
Ist du Rononum Alamimnon.
Don and Reg look at each other.
What's that? French?
From behind the furniture, an anthropomorphic shape begins to form, silhouetted by an impossible light. It's human-looking, but with impossibly long, thin arms and legs. It's dressed in a black suit and floating above the ground.
Hey, buddy, we're friggin' close.
And once again, the rumbling builds. It sounds like a chorus of 1,000 damned souls screaming in unison. Building, the spindly shaped man begins to drift forward, stretching out its long arms toward the security men. Reg's coffee cup shatters on the floor. He and Don slowly back up and scream for their lives as we cut to black. The familiar Ghostbusters theme begins as the animated logo appears, but instead of striking the usual pose, the ghost leans to one side, giving the double thumbs up. Ghostbusters Incorporated. And the theme then immediately turns into an obnoxious dubstep hip-hop remix. Have you ever had an unwanted poltergeist activity occur in your dwelling place or place of work? Why wait another moment before taking action? We see quick cuts of new young Ghostbusters in updated Ghostbusters attire, entering homes and waving around expensive-looking equipment. Here at Ghostbusters Inc., we have the tools and trained professionals necessary to take care of any unwanted supernatural disturbance. Interior, Ghostbusters Incorporated garage. Cutaway to 4 2012 Cadillac Escalades, retrofitted with a gamut of shiny, superficial technology hanging off of them. And more quick cuts. A cute girl in Ghostbuster attire shaking hands with a smiling, bathrobed homeowner. She then suddenly twists around, blasting a vaporous poltergeist. Why risk the lives of your family and loved ones when they can be forever safe from cold, ruthless clutches of the undead? Interior, dark bedroom. Quick cuts. A perfect mother putting on her perfect daughter to bed. When suddenly a blast of light and air reveal a screaming, shriveled ghost nurse in the corner of the room. Cut to Interior Ghostbusters Incorporated, the tech room. Pan across 4 men in Ghostbuster attire, looking uselessly busy at computers in very tech-heavy control room. And we pan over to Todd Pendergast, dressed in a fancy, updated Ghostbusters uniform and holding a vestigial clipboard.
Hi, I'm Todd Pendergast, CEO of Ghostbusters Incorporated. Our staff is on call 24 hours a day to serve you. With competitive rates and seasonal discounts, you can count on us as the only state-recognized supernatural elimination service.
Cut to Ghostbuster headquarter hallways. Todd walks down the hall past a glass containment unit. Slimer, the green-hued floating phantasm, is on the other side, looking utterly depressed.
If you're stopping by with the kids, be sure to ask one of our experts to show them this greasy ball of ectoplasm here. The first spook ever caught by some of our professionals.
A little girl runs into the shot, jumping up. Todd grabs her and cradles her gently, laughing superficially.
So, don't wait another minute. Call now for your free consultation. Here at Ghostbusters Incorporated, we understand that there isn't anything in the world more important to you than your family and your children.
Interior, dimly lit bar at night. The shot pulls back from the image, revealing it to be on an HD TV affixed to the upper portion of a ceiling. We drift back from more images of Ghostbusters in action on the television to reveal Ray Stanz, locked on the television, Egon Spengler, locked onto his smartphone, and Oscar Barrett, sitting at the bar in front of their mugs of beer. Ray and Egon have aged appropriately into the 21st century. Aside from the eye patch that Ray now sports, he glowers at the television with contempt and takes a drink. Oscar consults his smartphone.
So tomorrow we're back over to Miss O'Leary's place over in Brooklyn for another class 3. I don't know. I guess we'll sweep and tell her the same thing we told her last time. Then we're over to Jersey to check out the Holiday Inn again, and then back on the island to that McDonald's on 5th that's been having that weird bathroom stuff.
Yeah, that sounds great, kid. It's good to be busy.
Oscar follows Ray's gaze up to the television, flashing happy, successful ghost-busting images.
Ray, you cannot let that stuff get to you anymore. It's over and done with.
Easy for you to say, kid. You weren't forced out of your own company.
Well, it could be worse, couldn't it? We're still working, right? You still love what you're doing.
He's technically right.
Ray finally breaks his gaze from the television.
No, kid, you're right. I just wish that overblown PR twit would actually listen about this spike in PKE readouts. Based on these recent investigations, it looks like something big could be starting.
Well, it's not strapping on the packs like the old days and blowing stuff up, but you're still doing paranormal investigations and classifications.
And how's that activity on the Large Hadron Collider coming along, Egon?
Still as dangerous as ever. Based on their recent Higgs boson breakthroughs, I'm moving up my doomsday calculations to January 28th, 2021.
Ray manages a smile, taking another long drink.
4 less days, huh?
Unfortunately, it looks that way.
Ray looks back to the television, a speeding Ghostbuster SUV speeding by the camera.
I still don't understand it. We never used to be this consistently busy. Look at the workforce the place has now. Every time we answer a call, there's 2 more waiting when we get back.
Well, fellas, I'm pooped.
You did good work today, kid. I would never have thought to cross-check that lemony odor to the electrical amperage shift in the appliances. Guess I'm starting to lose it in my old age.
Ray, you guys wrote the book on all this stuff. Don't let any of that crap get to you. You guys are the first, and you're still the best.
Thanks again, kid.
Oscar slaps down some bills on the table and turns to leave. Ray and Egon settle up and head out with him. Exterior, night. Just as Oscar opens the door, a loud wailing siren cuts through the night air. The 3 stop on the side of the street, and a flashing, speeding Ghostbusters Inc. Escalade roars past them. Ray looks to Egon, who perks his eyebrows in response. Exterior, a nice apartment. Ray, Egon, and Oscar exit a beat-up mid-90s sedan, heading across the street to the growing crowds and commotion. Amidst the chaos is parked a Ghostbuster Escalade, lights flashing, flanked by reporters and gawkers. And here's Todd Pendergast, in the flesh, suited up and sleazy as all hell, already talking to a female reporter.
Is a great question, Marie. I've got every bit of confidence in the world in my team. Unfortunately, we can't really go into detail on the specifications of this particular haunt. But what I can say is just look at this place. Classic 19th century French architecture at its finest. We can't have spooks putting holes in the walls.
He flashes the greatest of rehearsed smiles. On the trio, they watch from the back of the excited crowd with unimpressed glares. 2 Ghostbuster recruits, Seth and Gina, movie star beautiful, with new gear and jumpsuits, come out to push the crowd back.
Okie dokie, everyone. Please get back and let us get to work. Lots of time for interviews once we've captured this ghost.
The true recruits push past Ray and Egon, the founding members of the company.
Hey, watch it, you punk. We were answering these calls when you were still protein on a glazed donut.
Please keep back, old timers. You could hurt your backs if you're not careful. Leave this to the professionals.
Ray and Egon are both enraged, but comply and move back with the crowd. Oscar sheepishly looks on. On Todd as he maneuvers through the crowd, taking snapshots with various people and signing autographs while the Ghostbuster recruits do all the work in the background. Through happenstance, he winds up standing next to Ray and the others.
Evening, fellas. Need those new classifications from today on my desk by 9 a.m. tomorrow morning.
What's going on here? It's another of those spindle creature sightings, isn't it?
Todd is already in the midst of yet another interview, completely ignoring Ray's question.
Man, I guess I never really thought about it before, Jeff, but I'd really have to go with Machiavellian.
Damn it, Pendergast!
Great to hear, gentlemen. Nice seeing you. Thanks again for your help. Classification's absolutely invaluable to Ghostbusters Inc., okay?
The crowd parts as a police officer emerges from within the building, leading out Don, one of the security guards. He's pale as can be, and most of his hair has streaked white.
It didn't have a face. Its arms and legs were too long, and it didn't have a face.
Relax, buddy. We'll get it all down on paper back at the station.
The cop puts the mystified security guard into the back seat of the cruiser. Todd and Ray both overheard the conversation. Todd turns slowly to look at Ray, his accusing gaze.
That's the 5th sighting of that thing in 2 months.
And Egon says,
Class 5 cross-dimensional snatcher.
Its activity is heating up. And are you reading my notes about the PKE surges? Last time we saw activity like that, we wound up spending the 4th of July roasting draconian muzzle slars all over Midtown Manhattan.
Hey, the team is already on it, okay? Just natural fluctuations, nothing to get worried about.
I don't know what frat house you recruited your experts from, but you're looking at 2 of the founding members of the company you've turned into an overpriced roller disco, and you'd better start listening to us.
Todd has begun to walk away with reporters surrounding him.
9 a.m. tomorrow morning, okay? Don't forget.
The crowd dissipates from around Ray, Egon, and Oscar. Ray looks down, and there's a 12-year-old boy with a Ghostbusters t-shirt with the modern thumbs-up logo. He looks up with a marker and a piece of paper.
Would ya? To Robbie?
Ray and Egon both smile and happily oblige.
That's nice, Robbie. At least someone out here still likes us.
Robbie's my dad. He's over there in the car. I'm Addie. I don't know who you guys are.
Boy runs off after Todd.
Oh, Todd! Oh, Todd! Could you make this out to Maddie?
Oscar flashes a reassuring smile to Ray and Egon.
I'm sure Robbie is a huge fan.
Cut to interior sedan night. Ray and Egon plop into a beat-up sedan. Ray cranks the key into the ignition and it sputters to life for a moment, then wheezes, shudders, and dies. Unsurprised, Ray slumps his head onto the steering wheel.
Is Winston working tonight?
Interior Ghostbusters Inc. garage. The interior of the garage is immaculate, with shining tools adorning perfect tables. Down the rows of closed garage doors are the 4 brand new perfect Ghostbusters Inc. company SUVs. Off to one corner, covered in a translucent plastic sheet, the original Ecto-1, out of use, collecting dust. Winston Zedemore, looking like he hasn't aged a day, save for some gray hairs, is in mechanics overalls with the Ghostbuster patch on the arm. He and Ray are both under the hood of the Saturn, ratchets and work lights working away. Egon sits off to the side, forever on his smartphone.
Help me figure this out, Z. You've been with this company basically from the ground floor, and those corporate weasels still got you on the night shift mechanics crew?
Way I see it, I'm the oldest, dirtiest secret this company's got left now that you two are history. But you know what? I don't take vacations. I don't do sick days. I show up on time. I do my damn job. Not exactly using the full potential of my doctorate, but hell, I'm employed with benefits.
Yeah, well, I guess you're right.
Just then, the far door slams open and 2 of the young Ghostbuster recruits walk past.
Hey, Winnie, you gonna have that muffler fixed by tomorrow or what?
First chance I get, Seth. Thanks for noticing.
No visitors, Winnie. You know the rules.
The two youthful jerks walk out of the loading bay doors laughing.
Christ, this place.
Not a clue between any of those new kids they hired on either. Can you believe that?
Oh, I believe it. Image seems to be everything for Todd. I'd love to see some of the stuff that they're coming up with in R&D, though. It feels like forever since I've seen any of the capture equipment.
Egon walks over to pour Winston a cup of coffee.
Egon, bring me over that Phillips, will you?
Egon hands the tool to Ray.
Pretty nice of Todd to cradle you in this lap of luxury while the recruits are driving around in those dingy SUVs, huh?
I think this is just their way of leaning on us till we just end up and quit. Cripes. 20 years ago, when you told me taking this place public would lead to us getting forced out over a little slip up on a bridge, I'd say you were on wacky glue.
In the shareholders' defense, Ray, we did collapse a bridge.
Yeah, but we saved the city.
Yeah, board didn't see it that way, though, did they? They could have lost the whole company to litigation. Blaming the whole thing on you two was the quickest decision those cats probably ever had to make in their lives. You two are damn lucky they still hire you to do freelance classifications as it is.
Cataloging definitely isn't the end of the world, but it just doesn't feel the same without the packs.
Need I remind you, all of our equipment, including the proton packs, are copyrighted and privately owned by the GHOSTBUSTERS Inc. arm now. If I remember, that was your brilliant idea. We could get sued if we ever use that equipment in public ever again.
Wouldn't matter anyway. Those old packs are ancient history. Everything's lightweight and digital and high tech now. Makes the old stuff look like lead weights. You wouldn't even know how to work the damn things.
Ray's head slowly rises from behind the hood.
The equipment locker still down the hall?
Cut to the Ghostbuster garage night. Ray, Egon, and Winston stand side by side at the back alley behind the garages. The three of them have the spunky new proton packs on. They're glossy white, about half the size of the originals. They also look mostly plastic and extremely easy to break. Ray lights a cigarette, then hauls out the white neutrino wand. He's surprised by the light weight.
Geez, this thing feels like 3 pounds.
Now here, see this switch here? That's your on switch. I've had a little bit of time with these, but I'm not insured like these cadets are. I shouldn't even know how to turn them on.
Basic layouts seem to remain constant between the models. The trigger's in the same place.
All right. Everybody ready, steady? Got your targets all picked?
Reverse on the three guys, revealing four full-sized standee cutouts of Todd Pendergast, sticking out of 4 trash cans. He's in uniform and giving the thumbs up with a stupid shit-eating grin on his face.
Ready to cook.
Hey, Todd!
They let her rip. Coiling, undulating, blue-black beams streak forward, whipping back and forth and torching the cardboard standees. The flaming standees explode out of the garbage cans, flipping end over end in a sparkling, flaming light show. The entire area surrounding the alleyway lights up with pulsating and blinding blue light. The standees clatter on fire to the wet pavement. Ray, a wide-eyed, dopey grin on his face, looks over to Egon and Winston. Throughout the spectacle, it is apparent that these proton throwers are vastly less powerful than the originals.
Effective, I must say. The ions seem to have much more focused radius. Ion lithium subatomic reactors, you said?
Something like that, yeah. From what I read, R&D takes half as long to charge them, and the power cells twice as stable. All brand new, inside and out. And it's a lighter delivery, so it doesn't torch the walls or furniture. Good way to save on liability.
No power behind these things at all.
And the equipment is too light. This all feels like you could break it by sitting on it. It's a wonder you can contain anything with these weak streams of proton.
I don't want to be a party pooper here, guys, but I've only got another 20 minutes before I'm out of here for my 3-day weekend.
Yeah, good thinking, Z. We've got a full day tomorrow.
Winston's head jerks instinctively as we hear the faint sounds of sirens approaching.
Cops.
The three scamper like rats out of the alley. Interior, Gracie Mansion, morning. Two large doors bang open, revealing Mayor Peter Venkman in full stride, swarmed on either side by mayoral advisors. He's attempting to do his tie as he makes his way through the building, ignoring most of the people screaming at him. He looks swamped.
And for God's sakes, don't forget to always avoid eye contact when you thank him. It's horribly impolite in their culture to look them in the eye unless you're threatening their life. And we tried to ask his bodyguard to keep their AK-47s in their hotel rooms, but they refused. We're still trying to get them a special firearms carrying permit pushed through for this week.
Mayor Venkman, you still haven't signed off on the city agency's budget appropriation.
Mayor Bankman, there's still opposition to the new police chief appointed. We need to issue a press statement regarding his unorthodox proposal to the iPhone theft ring investigations.
Oh, also, no shades of gray or blue. Apparently, in their culture, blue is synonymous with death and bad harvest fortunes.
Venkman casts a beleaguered glance down at his dark blue suit.
And he's a huge Knicks fan. He wanted you to know that.
Janine! Janine!
Appearing completely out of the blue, pops up Janine Melnitz. She's dressed in a sharp pantsuit with a binder close to her chest. She keeps pace with the hectic walk.
Look, just answer nice and simple about the budget appropriations for now. Look, we can hold off on making an official statement about Police Chief McGeercheron until next week. If they ask about him, just say we're still discussing his approach. And as far as Prince Undugu, oh, hell, who knows? I've never been to Zanzibar. Just don't chew with your mouth open.
I don't know what the hell I'd do without you, Janine. What about eating with my hands?
Oh, and there's something heating up about the skinny ghost thing. Two security guards were attacked last night at the Yardsdale art exhibit.
Oh, Jesus.
They're going to want to comment. So be prepared.
Ghostbusting, my favorite goddamn topic.
Without breaking stride, Venkman flings open the front doors of the mansion, revealing a podium set up atop the steps and the press waiting. Venkman hits the podium and raises both hands, trying hard to quell the reporters.
It's only a few fleeting opportunities in a lifetime you can truly indulge in the infinite wisdom of a visionary peacemaker. Today, I'm granted that very honor by welcoming His Lordship and eternal ruler, overlord and uncrowned King of Ireland, Prince Ndugu Kataha, to the city of New York.
Off to one side, sitting with his terrifying bodyguards, Prince Ndugu offers a disinterested wave. A reporter leaps to his feet.
What about the human rights violations the prince stands accused of? What kind of message are we sending to the American people by giving a warlord free reign throughout our city and a speaking engagement in front of the UN Assembly?
Venkman is blindsided by the question. He slowly composes himself.
On the positive side of his character, I'm told he's a huge Knicks fan.
Another reporter gets to his feet.
One security guard is a raving lunatic, and there's still no sign of the other after last night's ghost attack. Descriptions match the last 4 other violent encounters of the so-called skinny ghost. Is there another supernatural threat afflicting the city? And what is your office doing about it?
I have a pending meeting scheduled with Todd Pendergast, the CEO of Ghostbusters Incorporated, to discuss these goings-on. He's also set to make a statement soon on these happenings, which I can guarantee you will be under control shortly.
You ran for office on a pro-Ghostbusters ballot during the mayoral recall. Some of your critics have accused you of flip-flopping on the topic during your re-election campaign.
Gene, they blew up the goddamn Triborough Bridge, and that had to happen during my re-election campaign. And yes, something needed to be done.
Janine steps in to whisper to Venkman, but he brushes her off.
Mr. Stantz and Mr. Spengler were owners of that company at the time, and they're held accountable. Our past relationships don't affect right and wrong. That little incident forced my office to institute some house cleaning, and now Ghostbusters is as efficient a department as police and fire. And how did I get talking about ghostbusting again? This is the city of New York, people. Is nobody worried about the budget deficit?
Another reporter gets to her feet.
You in the front.
Another reporter gets to her feet. What of the accusations leveled against you by Scooter Greenbaum regarding your financial ties to Ghostbusters Inc.? Wouldn't that constitute a conflict of interest relating to their exorbitant budget appropriations?
I'm going to make this clear, Alice. The Ghostbusters is a corporate entity granted operation by my office, yes. Beyond that, I haven't had any association with the company for over 15 years, nor will I. Ever again. Budget deficit, people. What if I told you the city was in flames right now?
Interior, the Ghostbuster field office. The current office of Ray and Egon is decidedly depressing. It's just a crappy little place with too few windows and cramped desk space. On the walls are various Ghostbusters-related pictures and news clippings. One picture in particular stands out. A clipping of Ray, Venkman, Egon, and Winston standing next to a young, fresh-faced Todd Pendergast. The caption reads, Ghostbusters welcome first new recruit. Company expansion underway for 1994. Egon sits in the corner of the office, a pile of scrap metal and electronic pieces. He's working on yet another gadget. Oscar walks up to Ray's desk, putting down a cup of coffee. Ray's on the phone.
Yes, ma'am. I completely understand. That kind of disturbance at any level of family gathering would be traumatic for a small child.
Ray looks up and nods and thanks, taking the coffee and leaning back in his chair.
Well, ma'am, the earliest we could get to you would be Thursday. Yes, myself and Dr. Spengler will be present. No, ma'am. He's no longer associated with the company. He's the mayor of New York City presently. Yeah, he is a great guy. Yes, he did shut us down. We'll see you Thursday, Miss Nordling. Give Sally my warmest regards.
He hangs up, taking a sip of the coffee.
We're 20 minutes late.
I know.
As if on cue, the door to the office swings open and in walks Dana Barrett, beautiful as always. Her husband, Walt Barrett, enters next. Ray jumps to his feet.
Dana, Walt, great to see you guys.
Dana goes in for the warm hug. Walt and Ray shake hands. Egon and Oscar join the group.
I'm so sorry we're late, Ray. I know you guys have been busy lately.
Oh, it's no worry at all. We've been managing.
Oscar begrudgingly comes to the forefront of the group.
Nice to see you still answer your phone when we call.
Yeah, I didn't see the messages until now.
Well, we're double parked. Think you could hurry it up?
Oscar gives Walt a crap look.
I really wish we could stay and chat longer, but the rehearsal starts in 20 minutes. Not even sure if we can make it as it is.
Dana takes the cue from Walt, who exhibits no interest in staying any longer than necessary.
I hate to stop in and run off you guys.
We're on our way to a call here, too. We could share the lift down.
Ray and Egon hurriedly grab their coats and follow. Exterior, the city streets. Egon, Dana, Ray, and Oscar and Walt exit out to the streets.
I'll grab the car.
Walt jogs across the street.
It's really great of you two to take him on. It's great that everything has worked out.
Glad to have him, Dana.
Ray glances to Oscar.
It's nice to have some new blood around here anyway.
So, how is everything?
It's steady, you know. We're going steady.
Average workload the last few months comes to between 2 and 4 classifications a day. We're logging lots of miles.
I still think it's awful what happened. You guys don't belong behind a desk.
We're still spirit cataloging and getting plenty of fresh air. Not as young as I used to be, and in this economy, I guess the old adage is true. Only thing that's ever consistent is death and taxes.
That's the whole reason I went into the field to begin with.
We should all go out to dinner soon and get caught up. I can't remember the last time we were all together.
There's a pretty obvious reason for that.
Let's not start in on that, huh, Spangs?
Everything has changed so much now. Cartoon shows and video games and products everywhere. You can see that logo all over the city now. It's so abrasive. It doesn't mean anything anymore.
Well, once Todd took control of the company, he did what any shrewd capitalist would do with a recognizable name brand.
Yeah, the heart's gone out of it. Maybe Venkman was right to leave high and dry and get right into politics when he did.
No, Ray. Venkman was never right. He exploited the company's popularity just like Todd did, only he used it to get himself elected. Then at the first sign of trouble, he stood right in line at the critics and threw you guys right under the bus to get himself in office.
Come on, just go easy on him.
I'd prefer not to think of him that way.
Have you been in touch at all?
Not this decade.
Walt pulls the car up in front of them.
Oh, well, Egon, Ray, let's get together soon. It would be wonderful to get caught up with everyone. And tell Winston I said hello.
Dana and Oscar hop in the car and it merges off into traffic. Ray and Egon watch the car disappear, their younger days going with it.
We're extraordinarily late.
Interior, fancy dining hall day. Venkman sits at a large, well-decorated table with the prince, his bodyguards, and some mayoral advisors, including Janine. It's awkward. Chamber music plays lightly in the background. A row of 3 golden AK-47s are resting against the wood-paneled wall. Venkman has not touched his meal, nor has the prince. They're staring at each other, Venkman terrified, the prince's glare accusing.
So I'm told you're not actually a Knicks fan.
One of the prince's bodyguards leans over to the prince and translates. The prince responds.
The prince says that he's not going to eat until you eat. He suspects corrupt capitalists are seizing this opportunity to poison him.
Venkman's eyes perk. That's a new one.
If I eat first, then he will? That's what the holdup's been?
The bodyguard nods, slow and exact. Venkman gingerly takes a few bites of the meal.
Finest in the city. What is this, Janine?
It's roasted duck, Mayor.
She shoots a plastic smile to the prince at the other end of the table.
It's roasted duck.
The prince nods.
I trust your hospitality now.
The prince begins to dig in. His bodyguards follow suit.
Big couple of days in the city, eh, fellas? Wait till you check out the zoo. You'll go bananas.
The 4 men at the opposite end of the table stop eating, giving Venkman another evil glare. Venkman reaches for a bottle of Merlot.
Just to be safe, I'm gonna down the wine first, too.
Interior, cruddy apartment. Egon and Ray, utterly sucked of enthusiasm, have finished the apartment checkup. Ray is speaking to the homeowner, Miss Tilden, while Egon does the final sweep.
Thanks again for your time, Miss Tilden. We're fairly convinced this is a routine spook investigation. Class 2, still something to be worried about, but trust us, it could be far, far worse.
So it's just gonna clear itself up? Where's all your go-gone gear? Ain't you gotta trap something?
No, ma'am. As captains of the operations, we gather all the pertinent information regarding the class of phantasm infestation, then submit our findings. You'll then be contacted by a GHOSTBUSTERS Inc. representative regarding a suitable time for the recruits to come and take care of the pesky poltergeist.
I seen on the news you got kids doing all the work now.
Far from it, ma'am. Ghostbuster Inc. only utilizes trained professionals to handle your elimination needs. After that, your place will be sound as a pound.
You're trying to tell me you're bigwigs with this place that they got you two talking to the old ladies in the Bronx about haunted toilets?
Ray tries hard to stifle his anger with a barely operational smile as he hands Miss Tilden the bill.
We take cash or most major credit cards.
Oh, hey, do you know Todd? What's he like in real life?
Exterior tenement building. Ray and Egon exit the building and head down the busy sidewalk.
I think I'm finally there, Spengler.
Oh?
Yeah. Between the junk hours, the flammable company vehicle, the quality of the customers, I think it's time to throw in the towel.
Well, from a mental and emotional standpoint, I can understand your rationale, but where's an aging parapsychologist going to find another job in his field in this market?
I don't even want to think about that right now. All I know is I think it's about time I have a little chat with Mr. CEO about some changes.
They stop at a bus stop, checking their watches.
Ray, it's not like either of us have a retirement plan, and we didn't exactly sap the company dry with what we got in the buyout.
I don't know, Spengs. I just don't know.
Ray looks either way for any sign of an oncoming bus. Exterior construction site, day. Venkman, wearing a hard hat that clashes substantially with his $1,000 suit, stands next to several construction workers at an unveiling. As per usual, reporters and photographers are everywhere.
And in this day and age, there's nothing more important than our children's future. And that's why, as mayor of New York, it's my undisputed honor to declare this site.
All around the site, the sounds of sirens grow. Venkman and the others all look slowly around in confusion as a large assortment of emergency vehicles rip by the construction site, followed by two wailing Ghostbuster SUVs. A young reporter leaps to his feet, still with his phone to his ear.
Mayor, any comment on today's ghost attack in Grand Central Station? Witnesses report suggest link with the other skinny ghost disturbances that have been sweeping the city.
Venkman angrily lowers the comically large pair of scissors in his hand. He glances over to Janine, also wearing an ill-fitting hard hat. She sheepishly shrugs.
That's something my office is looking into. Wendell.
Interior, Ghostbusters Inc. headquarters. Todd Pendergast comes around the corner, trailed by Ray Stantz and Egon Spengler. It's a hurried walk and talk. Ray's got a large old book under his arm. The Ghostbusters Inc. offices are immaculate and pristine, with interns and secretaries all busy at work. Countless news stories are framed on the walls, along with cheap pictures of flowers and cats.
And I wouldn't be doing my colleagues and the city a disservice if we didn't pursue this further. It's like you're not even listening to our advice on what's going on here. It's a marvel nobody was killed at that train station.
Ray, I've got my best people on this.
I've seen the kids you hire. None of them have a damn clue what they're doing. You handpicked a couple of know-nothing FAO Schwartz models so the cover photos on the New York Times look good.
They walk past an open office. Within are two of the recruits, drinking beer with their feet up. Todd stops, slapping a hand on the doorframe.
Seth, Matt, what the hell? Knock it off till after 5.
The two younger Ghostbuster recruits begrudgingly put down the beer cans. Todd and the group pass Slimer's glass-encased ecto unit next. Ray is struck with pathos as he and the green Spud make eye contact for a moment.
If you'd listened to us after the second attack, we'd already have captured this thing in Harlem.
Long, slender arms and legs, and a suit and a tie. Matches every other spook we've ever taken down, guys.
What about the car? That piece of junk is still in the shop. We've been bussing it from call to call, Todd.
A secretary comes up alongside Todd. She's flanked by two men in suits and shades.
Mr. Pendergast.
Not now, Bridget.
Sir, this is important.
Put it in a memo. Walk and talk. And that's really out of line, accusing me of just sweeping these ghosts under the carpet. I have a competent staff that deals with the elimination of these things, and I resent the suggestion we're doing anything but.
It's been dumb luck that you've only had to deal with routine infestations since you took over this place. You're running this place's credibility into the ground while we're running around classifying the same classes of ghosts over and over again.
Todd bangs open the door to his office. Ray and Egon follow. Interior, Todd's office. The office is immaculate. A huge view of the city out of every large window.
I'd love to see what you and these frat house clowns would do with a level 4 cross-rip.
Startling all of them, on the other end of the room is Venkman, his tie loosened and a glass of scotch in his hand.
What the hell, Todd?
Todd is caught off guard. Egon and Ray stop in their tracks. Venkman catches himself. The three haven't been together in a dog's age. Lots of past hostilities still just bubbling under the surface.
Venkman?
Ray.
Nice to see you again, Peter.
Spengs.
Venkman immediately goes back into mayor mode, pointing a finger at Todd, ignoring the others.
I'm getting more questions about ghosts than I am about the goddamn budget, Todd. And the budget isn't good right now. It's not good one goddamn bit.
Todd slumps into his seat.
On it, Pete? Think this is easy on my end? Do you want to try running this place?
We have.
Todd pours himself a glass of scotch, sucks it back.
My people are doing everything in their power to try and track this thing. But it's not giving us any consistent readouts that we can track. None of our computers know what to do.
For starters, I don't even think the new equipment is capable of holding this thing. All your cost cutting has rendered the new proton packs almost completely impotent. It's a wonder your people are containing any spooks at all with the low yield they deliver.
It keeps the liability insurance down, Spengler. We're not scorching tables and throwing around enough energy to vaporize a housewife anymore. It's new and improved and safer.
Have any of your people cross-checked the ionization rate left at the scenes with the history of the sites? It's first-year parapsychology, Todd. These things are always just echoes left behind, even if it's a cross-dimensional specimen.
Hell, Todd, I knew that.
We are collecting evidence at each site. There's no reference to this subject in our systems.
Ray slams open the decrepit old book onto the desk, flipping open the pages. He points his finger down at the page.
Open Spirit Guide. Remember this?
Yeah, I stay up to date on that.
Von Grauen, born 1834, died 1889, one of the head architects of the Chicago's World Fair of 1893, alongside Burnham and Root. Ring a bell, Todd?
Todd goes silent, staring down at his drink.
The Chicago's World Fair was the grandest exhibition of its time. Ferris wheel got its start there. What nobody put together until much later was the large amount of people that went missing during the fair's run. The number was in the hundreds.
Insert. The book, the dour and ominous black and white photo of Van Grauen vaguely matches the spook seen attacking security guards. He looks a little weird.
It took the police a few years to piece it all together, but it wound up Van Grauen was secretly the owner of a Chicago hotel he had designed himself. He had all the standard amenities of the time, except with hidden sacrificial chambers built into every floor.
What does any of this have to do with what's going on?
Venkman raises a shush finger.
That's one, Todd.
There was a massive subterranean level where most of his dirty work was done. He believed that by collecting the souls for the afterlife, he was, in effect, becoming immortal himself. The authorities didn't see it that way. He was placed in a sanitarium pending his trial. He never made it to the hangman's noose, however. He died under the state's custody, awaiting trial in the booby hatch.
Venkman is beyond frustrated.
Took him 10 minutes, Todd. 10! With a musty book. And we have the internet now, Todd. You can find videos of cats wearing slices of bread as hats with the click of a button.
Well, that doesn't tell me anything about how to stop this thing, does it?
Venkman's anger boils. He points to Ray and Egon.
10 minutes!
The impounded items from the hotel were sold off at police auctions. Because of their macabre associations with what was the trial of the century, they were sold plenty fast.
Ray pulls a map of New York City out of his pocket and slams it down on the table. It's got circled notations all over it.
Every site of this so-called thin ghost correlates with items bought at that police auction. Whatever it is Von Grauen was, it seems to be back and drawn to those places.
And this leads us to the part where you know how to stop this thing and get the New York Times off my ass, right?
Not unless we could find an old copy of the auction records to cross-reference the buyers. That would be well over 100 years old.
All that's stopping us from figuring out how to stop this thing is time and some research, both of which we're well prepared to make in order to help Mayor Venkman to get the city back to working order.
The shark's grin spreads across Venkman's face as his eyes match Todd, sitting behind his desk.
You'd best get that nice secretary of yours to draft a press release, Todd. We're going live with this tomorrow.
Todd looks at Venkman with his "what do you want me to do" gesture.
Now, Todd!
That does it. Pendergast jumps to his feet and runs out of the office. Venkman, Spengler, and Stanz are together for the first time in a long time, and nobody knows what to say.
It's, it'll be nice to have you guys back in charge around here again.
A moment of silence between them. Then, finally,
You hung us out to dry, Pete. Don't think we'll forget that.
Venkman nods, taking the hit. He grabs his overcoat draped over a chair and silently exits the room. Exterior, Columbus Circle day. We pull back from Todd Pendergast's worried face to reveal him sitting on a stage, off to the left by himself. Across from him sits Janine, Winston, Egon, and Ray atop a stage built in front of the USS Maine National Monument. In the front row, intermingled with the crowd, sits Dana, Oscar, and Walt. Behind the mayoral podium is Venkman, dressed in his usual expensive suit, but with a powder blue Ghostbusters ball cap on his head. He addresses yet another huge gathering of citizens and reporters.
So, in direct response to this growing conundrum, and due to my lack of confidence with the current CEO, as the mayor of New York City, I hereby reappoint Dr. Stantz, Spengler, and Zeddemore, heads of Ghostbusters Inc. And it is my hope that their expertise will lead to a quick resolution to the problems currently plaguing our fair city.
The crowd claps and cheers, getting to its feet. Reporters stand and bark questions at the stage. A familiar reporter gets to his feet in the front row.
What gives the city any right to make such appropriations? Isn't it Ghostbusters Inc. exempt from city involvement?
Gene, time and time again, the original Ghostbusters founders have been on the forefront of our defense from these supernatural occurrences.
Venkman motions behind him with his hand, exempting Todd.
And so, through the necessary committees, in light of these recent incidents, Ghostbusters Inc. is hereby appointed an essential service, and thus it falls under city governance.
Do you really think it's a responsible decision from the mayor's office to put the people who blew up the Triborough Bridge back in charge?
Behind Venkman, Winston raises his hand.
Nothing to do with that.
Venkman turns to the group sitting behind him.
Get up here, everybody.
The group, including Janine, stoically get to their feet and stand alongside the podium.
How fast are we to place the blame when these people's successes far outweigh their failures? Anybody remember that giant marshmallow thing that tore up the city? Or that museum that got covered in jello?
Well, yeah, and it cost the city millions of dollars in damage after you people rolled the Statue of Liberty through downtown.
The crowd begins to hum and haw, unconvinced. The crowd begins to hem and haw, unconvinced.
I told you we should have patted her feet.
A cute reporter gets to her feet next.
Mayor Venkman, as a long-time correspondent with the New York Metro News, I had the misfortune to be on the scene covering all of these encounters, including the disastrous third incident. These men are heroes. They risk their lives every day for a meager paycheck. Believe me, I've seen their books.
Egon and Ray exchange unimpressed glances. Suddenly, Dana jumps to her feet, turning to face the crowd. Walt, sitting next to her, looks on, annoyed.
These men saved my life. These men saved the life of my son. How many people here today have been impacted by their bravery? Stand up now.
Slowly but surely, scores of citizens stand up around the audience.
They saved my life.
They saved my life too. They saved my daughter's life.
On Ray and the others on stage, they glance to each other, solemnly affected by the display.
We should be thankful for them. And unless any of you would be willing to step into their shoes, then I, for one, thank them for their selfless services, and I am grateful to have them back.
Quickly, the crowd grows thunderous with their cheers and applause.
Ghostbusters!
Ghostbusters!
And the original Ghostbusting team stands side by side at the edge of the stage, taking in the cheer and applause as we cut to a montage. Todd's office. Movers are busy replacing Todd's stuff with 3 desks for Ray, Egon, and Winston. Todd is dismayed, standing alongside the others. Ray offers him a sheepish shoulder pat. A briefing room. The cocksure young Ghostbuster recruits all sit uninterested with their arms crossed. Ray and Egon address them curtly. Ray and Egon address them
That's
curtly.
why we are all pleased to announce that you are all fired. Every single one of you.
One of the recruits angrily hops to his feet.
This is bullshit!
The recruits file out angrily. Egon and Ray nod to one another with a shit-eating grin on their face. The Ghostbuster office. Winston and Egon sit behind a desk, clipboards in their hands, interviewing replacement Ghostbusters. Todd sits behind them, slumped, defeated, but still on the payroll. The newest interviewee is late 20s, nervous. She's a young woman named Tracy.
So, do you have any past experience with paranormal eliminations or investigations?
Look, let's cut through the BS. I was just a manager at Blockbuster Video till they went under. The economy is horrible. I'm a liberal arts major and there's no jobs anywhere. If you want to tell me you got people with parapsychology degrees lining up for these openings, go right ahead. But if not, just consider I'm 2 months late on my rent, and if I can't even get hired as a Ghostbuster, I'm probably gonna jump off the Brooklyn Bridge.
Winston and Egon give each other quizzical looks. Cut to another new face, Parker.
I can cook, I can clean, and I own over 30 different firearms.
Cut to another new face, Jeff.
I used to drive a bus, but I got let go. I'm a good driver, though. I follow parapsychology very closely. It's my first and only hobby, and I'm reliable and a damn good worker.
Egon and Winston both have impressed looks on their faces. They nod slowly. However, Jeff is suddenly distracted by something. Without notice, he screams at them over the table. He grabs a stack of writing tablets, knocks over his chair, and sprints out of the room. Egon and Winston relax after they're sure he's gone.
Well, that's a shame. Up to that last part, he was my favorite candidate.
Cut to Williams, nebbish and awkward as hell.
What are your thoughts on astral projection, the legend of Bigfoot, and the real events behind the Tunguska blast of 1908?
Williams is terrified and smiles artificially.
Yes.
Egon and Winston look at each other again.
Still better than that other guy.
Interior, Ghostbusters Inc. R&D department. Ray, Egon, and Oscar take several new pieces of ghostbusting hardware, their expressions dictating their lack of interest in the new equipment. Egon begins slamming one of the proton wands against a metal table. Ray, always the tutor, shows Oscar the ins and outs of the proton gear. The new hires, Parker, Williams, and Tracy, watch and listen off to the side. Interior, Ghostbusters Inc. storage units. Ray, Egon, and Oscar heave open a large door, spilling a shaft of light into a cold storage area, creeping with mist. Egon consults a binder in hand, then points.
304.
The three walk down a long concrete corridor, finally stopping at storage unit 304. Ray unlocks the metal door, and light spills into that unit as well, revealing the classic proton gear, covered in dust. Exterior, haunted townhouse at night. Oscar, Winston, and Ray, sucking in cheap cigars, hang out in front, leaning on an idling Ghostbuster SUV. Inside the building, periodically, blue flashes of light pulsate through the windows. And then 3 of the new Ghostbuster recruits come out defeated, covered in slime.
No good. Can't hold him with these things.
Ray examines the useless new proton thrower and shakes his head.
Liability, my sweet ass. These things couldn't catch a cold.
What's the plan?
Ray and Winston look at each other, then nod. They retrieve 2 classic proton packs from the back of the SUV and suit up. Winston shoots the three recruits a smile.
Watch and learn.
On the building, Winston and Ray jog up to the house. The recruits follow. No sooner are they inside than a white and red flash of light streaks through the main floor, shattering all the windows at once. Interior Ghostbuster headquarters. Ray addresses news crews with the newly assembled team behind him. Interior Ghostbusters Inc. headquarters. Egon is busy at work tearing apart the new useless proton packs. Cut to several cutouts of Todd lined up at the far end of the firing range. Tracy, Parker, and William stand side by side with the retrofitted new proton packs.
Let them cook.
The Ghostbuster recruits all let her rip, but the powerful proton packs are too much for them to handle. The undulating orange streams of energy flip and flop in every direction. Ray and Egon hit the deck behind the steel table. The smoke clears, and the room is decorated with blackened, smoky streaks on the walls, floors, and ceilings. The cutouts of Todd are all completely unscathed. All the recruits are dazed, visibly upset. William starts to cry. Ray and Egon nod in approval. Exterior, Central Park at dusk. A rotted, glowing hobo ghost backed up by two other ghostly, stereotypical old-time hobos wreak havoc through Central Park. Innocent people scatter in every direction. The three Ghostbuster recruits, along with Oscar, step out from the greenery, equipped with the retrofitted proton gear. They cut the spooks off. Egon and Ray step out from behind them and issue the order.
Have at him!
The recruits blast in unison. The energy streaks now brilliant and powerful. Trees split apart, limbs collapse to the grass, and they tangle up the ghosts. Three proton traps are crossed out and trapped in three pulsating white beams of ascending light. The spooks are sucked down into the traps. Oscar lifts up a smoking trap, walking it over to Egon.
Oh, holy crap. Oh, that was a rush. Oh my God.
How was that for everybody?
I'm gonna puke, but that's fine.
You're pulling to the right, but that gets easier once your shoulder begins to give out.
Thanks.
Interior, Mayor's office. Venkman sits behind his desk. Janine enters his office with a smug smile on her face and delivers a report. The top line reads, Ghostbusters damage reports as of 9/27. Venkman's eyes bulge as he reads the figure, then anxiously signs it. Interior, Ghostbusters Inc. hallway. Ray walks along the corridor looking sheepish. He stops with his back to Slimer's ecto-containment unit, making sure the coast is clear. Hastily, he turns and jams a key into the lock, powering down the unit and opening the door. Slimer screams for joy as it blows out of confinement. It's blowing papers and chairs all over as it zips down the hallway. Ray looks around suspiciously, then heads for his office. Interior, Ghostbusters briefing room. It's a large amphitheater-style room with three new hires in gear sitting and taking notes. Winston stands at the front of the room, a PowerPoint-style presentation projected behind him. The top line reads, Spook Reports. It's map of the city with several spots circled.
Parker and Tracy, you're taking the double haunting on Rampart, Class 3. Bring plenty of towels.
Interior, Dana's living room. Dana and Walt sit in relaxed clothing on the couch with glasses of wine watching the television. On the screen, a new Ghostbusters commercial depicting Ray, Egon, and Winston pitching their new specials. In the background of the scene, amidst the group of scientist extras, is Oscar, uselessly punching random buttons and staring doe-eyed straight into the camera. Exterior, New York cityscape, dusk. The Ghostbusters Inc. SUV races through the night, lights flashing and sirens squealing. Traffic lights are ignored. And montage. Interior, Ghostbusters research room. The room appears to have been very lived in as of late, with empty pizza boxes and snack food galore. There's couches in the corners that have been obviously slept on. On the walls are new framed newspaper coverage. One line reads, Ghostbusters Inc. under old management. Stantz and Egon walk past it, a large plastic tote case in Ray's hands. He slams it down on the table. We reveal Oscar and Winston leaning on the other side of the table. Sitting off to the side are Williams, Parker, and Tracy.
I've got 3 calls I've got to worry about this afternoon, Ray.
Yeah, I'm sorry to pull you off the floor, but I think we all need to see this. Pendergast, coffee!
Todd gets up from a comfortable seated position behind the group, barely acknowledging Ray as he exits the room to prepare coffee. Egon starts taking out items from a large bin. Among them, old books, lampshades, pieces of cutlery, suits of armor, gauntlets, and a musty top hat. The three new recruits stand up and gather around the table. Nobody really seems to be floored by what they're seeing.
Guys, I don't care about your yard sale scores.
These are some of the artifacts that we've authenticated as previously belonging to Van Grauen.
Yeah, they don't look new.
Up until now, we've had them sequestered. We wouldn't even think about having them together.
And why not?
As if on cue, the items begin to vibrate, building in intensity. Then, in the blink of an eye, they all slam together, forming a tight ball that hovers over midair. Egon scans it with a PKE meter.
It's sad to think that's what I assumed was going to happen.
Loads of psychokinetic energy coming off of these babies now. As far as Spengs and I can tell, they were harmless up until they came into contact with the skinny ghost. And now, for whatever reason, all they want to do is come into contact with each other. Close as we can tell, the most likely answer seems to be that Von Grauen binded his psychic energy into the items, backup drives for an eventual return.
Oldest trick in the book.
Ray places the floating ball of junk back in the container and seals the innocent-looking Rubbermaid tote. He pushes a button on the side, and it jolts to life as the sound of separating items could be heard within.
This theory also lends credence to the supposition Von Grauen was anything but human.
There have been various items missing from the encounters. Police couldn't make heads or tails of it. Well, neither could we until tonight.
Ray pulls up a large map and unspools it over the table.
With the new spectral analysis capabilities, we have a perfect way to track any unusually large pockets of psychokinetic energy on the island. If it's bigger than a class 5, it'll show up as a hotspot.
Oscar and Winston lean over to look at the map. Ray points his finger over a large reddish section on Staten Island.
And wouldn't you know it, the old Brundlheim tuberculosis sanitarium is off the charts.
Tracy looks visibly upset as she hears the news.
We don't need to go to Staten Island, do we?
The last department that used that building was for tuberculosis research. At the end of the last century, however, it was the Brundlheim Department of Mental Hygiene.
Let me try and jump ahead here.
By all means.
They kept Von Grauen at the crazy farm.
Bingo, Z. Authorities stuck him there for 2 years while they gathered evidence for his murder trial.
Mental institutions around the turn of the century were anything but accommodating. The place would have been a madhouse. And from court documents we found, it looks like Van Grauen was caught more than a few times wandering the grounds at night. None of the guards ever copped to any complicity.
So this is all leading to us going to investigate an abandoned mental asylum in Staten Island. At night, too, right?
Parapsychology 101, Parker. Everybody leaves a piece of psychic evidence when they die. The worse the state of the being, the messier the stain.
Egon eyes the map.
I couldn't imagine the amount of negative psychic energy tied to a place like this.
Readings indicate this place is getting hotter and hotter on an hourly basis. We hate to crack the whip, but it looks like we're all going to have to pull in some overtime today.
You two can hang back here. I'll take them out.
We're booked solid until at least 9:30 tonight. After that, it's quiet as far as bookings go.
Ray and Egon glance up to Winston and Oscar. They all share a knowing look. Williams raises his hand.
I have dust allergies.
Exterior, wrought iron gates, night. An Ecto SUV pulls into a small clearing, up to the dilapidated gates, stone walls crumbling on either side of its rusted wrought iron flames. Looming in the distance behind the gates, the faint shape of the massive institution. Inside the Ecto SUV, Winston is doing the driving with Oscar in the passenger seat. Tracy and Parker sit in the back, both not looking very happy.
Do you buy that allergies thing for a second?
Absolute bullshit.
Exterior, the wrought iron gates. A security guard pulls up driving a beat-up Chevy Vega. He exits the car and meets Oscar. They shake hands.
Hi there, Oscar Barrett, Ghostbusters.
The hell do you got on your head?
As we reveal a clunky video camera that Oscar is wearing on the side of his head.
It's really technical.
What'd you do? Lose a bet? Look stupid.
This is highly advanced investigation equipment, okay?
Yep.
He tosses the keys to Oscar, turns and gets back in the car.
Just drop the keys off at the office in the morning and watch out for the garbage cats.
He peels out, kicking up dust as the small car disappears down the wooded dirt road. Inside the Ecto SUV, Parker and Tracy, unimpressed, sit in the back seat.
Garbage cats.
Yeah.
Exterior, Brundlheim Institute. The Ecto SUV's headlights send shafts of wafting fog in and out of view as it pulls up to the crumbling main entrance. The squad exit the vehicle. Winston opens the back hatch, giving out proton packs. They all suit up.
I want everyone staying close together, no wandering off. And kid, if you even so much as get a scratch, Dana will kill me, so stay close.
Sure thing. And thanks a lot. I really needed that boost of confidence.
Oscar's eyes drip to Tracy, adjusting straps. She meets his eyes for a second, then looks elsewhere.
I don't even really talk to my mom that much. I'm my own man.
Tracy walks off following Winston. Oscar sighs, defeated. He adjusts the helmet cam on the side of his head, then presses his shoulder walkie.
Coming, Ray. How's the signal coming through?
Inside Ghostbuster headquarters, Ray and Egon sit at a table, the blueprints of the asylum spread out across the table. A crackly video stream is broadcast on a small LCD TV.
Signal's coming along just fine, champ. We're with you in the trenches here all the way.
Williams appears with a tiny tray of hot chocolate and Ghostbuster mugs.
Ah, hot cocoa.
Interior, Brundlheim Institute night. A rotted gate slams open as Winston delivers a mighty kick, snapping it off its hinges. All of the team have shoulder-mounted flashlights, casting small beams of light throughout the rotted interior of the labyrinth structure. Winston scans the area with his PKE meter, leading the pack. The others have their proton sticks at the ready. Stray cats keep ducking in and out of view, mewling and howling.
Oh, good. There's the garbage cats.
Place is absolutely humming. We're definitely heading in the right direction.
Oh, God, it smells like rotten garbage.
Rotten garbage doesn't smell this bad.
Winston's shoulder walkie crackles to life.
How are we doing?
Winston grips the shoulder walkie.
Just dandy.
Computer showing us the strongest signals coming from the Dorfman wing.
Yeah, we're almost there now.
Winston's flashlight beam hits a rotted sign above the entrance, barely legible. The word says Dorfman.
Keep the sticks ready to toast, everybody. Everybody stay close.
Inside the Dorfman wing, moonlight cascades inward through the busted windows. Rows upon rows of rusted bed frames, some with brown mattresses, are scattered throughout. Broken glass and debris crunch under their feet. Oscar's light illuminates an aged doll. He looks to Winston.
Can I blast it?
Save it, kid.
Oscar continues on, the back of the pack now, and the doll's eyeless head turns to watch him as he goes by.
PKE is going nuts. Keep your heads up. Look for anything out of the ordinary.
Behind Tracy, a pile of rotten papers and debris jerkily rises, forming a spindly human shape. Some of the garbage cats are caught up in the rustling pile, possessed. The shape rises to its full size, topped off by any one of the glowing garbage cats as the head. The cat's eyes glow white, moaning and howling.
Fellas.
Winston and Oscar turn at the same time.
Blast it!
What about the garbage cats?
Blast it!
Winston and Oscar blast the animated debris. The possessed garbage cats moan and howl in ungodly unison. The debris lumbers forward, knocking Tracy out of the way. Oscar and Winston dodge out of the way, the hulking mass of felines and junk shambling past them. Parker joins in, and the three blast it at the backside of the creation. It mews and howls in pain and twists around, flaming pieces of drifting to the floor.
Burnt stray cats. That's a wonderful smell.
Tracy sits up, dazed. She looks to the left of the room as two more horrendous spooks appear through the walls and head for the three unsuspecting Ghostbusters.
Jesus Christmas, they're coming out of the damn walls!
Winston and Oscar turn from the approaching animated junk. They blast the two approaching spooks, keeping them at bay while maneuvering around to join Parker. Strength in numbers.
Are those cats?
Tracy, you and Oscar keep those two busy. You come with me.
Parker and Winston jog to the other side of the room, catching the reanimated junk's attention. It lets out another high-pitched chorus of animated meows and lumbers toward them.
Full stream.
Winston and Parker's proton packs brighten the air as the power erupts, increasing to max. The room begins to brighten up from the nuclear lighting source, and the giant mass of psychically collected refuse begins to finally split apart, one of its legs bursting into flames, the entire bulky thing toppling to the side. It smashes into the wall, its parts separate. Inside Ghostbuster headquarters, Ray, Williams, and Egon watch on screen, the pandemonium down there with Oscar's girlish screams blaring over the speakers. Ray gingerly leans forward, turning the volume down. Back in the Dorfman wing, Winston and Parker turn around. There's Oscar and Tracy holding their own, and both of the spooks are entangled in the proton streams captured in midair.
Seriously, though, I'm really independent. This doesn't even bother me at all.
Winston and Parker toss out 2 proton traps.
None of you look into the traps, you hear me?
It's okay. My eyes have been closed since this started.
Winston and Parker activate the traps. A brilliant blast of white light shoots upward from each. The writhing specters are sucked into the small traps. The room goes silent as Oscar and Tracy sit down on nearby objects, exhausted and terrified. Oscar pulls himself together, enough to offer a breathless compliment to Tracy.
Pretty hair.
Tracy, her chest still heaving, looks away, confused. On Winston, he picks up both traps, hanging them off his belt.
That was great, guys. Is everyone okay?
Everyone's fine, Ray. These guys are tougher than they look.
All right. It looks like you came to the end of the wing. Do you see anything suspicious?
You mean beyond the reanimated pile of garbage and possessed cats?
Well, yeah. Sorry.
Winston looks around the end of the rotted wing. Along the wall is a row of heavy-duty rusted metal bookcases. Winston investigates the very last one. Running his hand up along the side of it, he inadvertently clicks a release mechanism. The heavy shelf creaks forward.
Ray, you seeing this on camera? Looks like some kind of a hidden entrance.
Winston swings open the creaking metal bookshelf on its hinges, revealing a metal grated door.
Oh, man, just look at that. That looks so cool.
All right, just cut back on the enthusiasm here, Ray.
Winston nods to Oscar, who joins Parker in grabbing at the hatch. They can't move it. It won't budge.
Looks like it hasn't been opened in a long time.
All right, everyone get back here next to me. Let's melt her down.
The Ghostbuster team stands side by side and blasts simultaneously, at first heating up the grate before blowing it inward right off the hinges. Inside a hidden stairway, Winston at the lead, the 4 Ghostbusters head down a dank, cobwebbed spiral stairway, their shoulder lamps the only source of light. The decaying brick walls glisten with moisture.
So how much further into this subterranean hell do we have to go, guys? Is this really that important? And if it is, why are there only 4 of us?
We warned you at the interview, newbie. It's pretty self-sufficient work.
I was just curious, considering how I was almost murdered upstairs by devil cats.
Legally, that encounter falls under occupational hazards.
Yeah, well, that sounds really illegal.
I imagine it is.
Oscar's headgear picks up writing etched into the walls.
Hold it there, Squirt. Go back and let's get a look at that writing.
Oscar steps back, holding up the rest of the group on the stairs. He looks at the unknown language etched into the old brick. Inside Ghostbuster headquarters, Egon makes a screenshot of the writing.
Well, it doesn't look familiar. I'll start a cross-referencing.
He grabs a book marked Ancient Funerary Languages. Inside the gargantuan room, the squad comes to the bottom of the stairs and into what can only be described as a massive chamber. Rows of cells line up along the left wall, stretching off into the darkness. To the right, a steep drop into nothingness. Their voices echo off into infinity.
Egon, Ray, you guys getting a look at this? This place is massive.
Very interesting, Winston. It looks like this was the original foundation and the Institute was built over top long afterwards. Don't see anything remotely like this on the layouts of the Sondheim Institute.
Whoever built this place had to have known this was down here. Very suspicious.
The shoulder lamps point in all directions, revealing small glimpses of the massive nature of the drop over the right edge.
Just think about it, Z. You've got an endless supply of human experiments or sacrifices at your disposal, with the Institute right above. People nobody would miss.
The lamp beams shine through the wrought iron cage doors to the left, revealing the empty, dank cells within. Rusted clamps and chains hang off the walls.
I think it wouldn't be too much of a coincidence for von Grauen to have been kept at this site. Whoever ran the sanitarium must have pulled some strings to get him.
Yeah, he'd be the perfect patient, wouldn't he?
All right, this is ridiculous. I'm done. I want to go.
Yeah, I don't really like her, but I'm kind of with the crazy one on this.
Winston turns back annoyed.
Go right ahead, rookies. We'll meet you back at the car once we've collected some samples and evidence.
He pulls out a PKE meter and slides on a pair of ecto goggles, turning back to examining the cavernous drop. Parker and Tracy look to one another, then back to the creepy ascending stairs. They both know they're not heading back without Winston. Oscar passes Winston, examining each empty cell, walking further and further ahead on the platform.
20 or 30 cells.
Give him each a PKE scan and see if anything pops up, kid.
Oscar gets his PKE meter and switches it on. It immediately buzzes to life as he aims it on a cell. Oscar looks down quizzically at his hand. It's smoking. He has just enough time to turn to the others before a streak of purple electricity blasts through his body, lifting him off his feet.
Kid!
Oscar's weightless body is wrenched left and right by an unseen force, his eyes glowing. White light shoots from his open mouth, and the entire cavernous area begins to vibrate and shudder. Pieces of brick and foundation crack and free from above and shatter at the squad's feet.
Hey, what the hell's going on down there?
And just as suddenly as it began, the falling debris and rumbling stops. A booming, demonic voice blasts forth from Oscar's floating body.
Ulgara Sobiayo Shogath Vondagon!
What is that, French?
Get the sticks out.
As if they didn't have enough problems, from below their vantage point, a massive cylindrical cage rises up from the depths, hundreds of feet tall, encased in steel bars and rotating slowly. And more blasts of purple light shoot from Oscar. They all seem to be directed at this large cage, absorbing the hits, powering it up. And within the swirling cylinder, bits and pieces of floating, glowing objects, chairs, pieces of armor, bookcases, the missing von Grauen artifacts.
Looks like this is where all those missing artifacts have been collecting.
That much evil energy in one place is fine though, right?
Guys, a little help?
Inside Ghostbusters headquarters, Egon looks up from the funerary languages book. He grabs a walkie, staring at the LCD screen. Oscar may be possessed, but he's still transmitting a signal.
I figured out the language. They're Dagon worshippers. That thing is a capacitor for negative PKE. It's been waiting for a psychic power source to turn itself on. It needed a powerful psychic conduit, and it looks like Oscar is it.
Inside the gargantuan chamber,
Holds him down.
Winston and the others switch the packs to slime mode and spray the possessed Oscar with green slime. His body undulates and twists in midair. He lets out a loud, demonic howl as he's subdued. Collapsing to the ground, unconscious and dripping with goo, Oscar appears to be free of the demonic grasp. The massive cylinder begins spinning faster and faster now. The possessed artifacts within now glowing white hot. A bright orange beam of ungodly light shoots upward from its tip, blasting straight through the floor. Outside, the beam explodes upward from the dilapidated institute, showering debris down in all directions. The shaft of light shoots straight into the heavens, dissolving a perfect circle through the clouds. Inside, the massive cylinder begins shedding its metal exterior. Pieces clatter and fall to the abyss below. Winston and Parker grab Oscar.
Recruits, we are leaving.
The squad sprint up the staircase. Behind them, the last remnants of the huge steel cylinder collapse down in the abyss, leaving only a floating, impossibly bright energy blob that disintegrates upwards. Inside Ghostbuster headquarters, Egon, Williams, and Ray walk over to a window overlooking the city. In the distance, the glowing beam of light is clearly visible as they stab into the heavens.
Oh my God. I gotta call my mom.
Egon and Ray look at each other.
We've got to get to Venkman ASAP.
Think we'll be able to get a cab in this climate?
I think there's a car in the shop we can take.
Interior city sewers at night. Cars and buses come to dead stops in the busy streets. The citizens of the Big Apple collectively looking up to the skies. On the clouds, they swirl and pulsate, bursts of red electricity pulsing through them at random. The black energy cloud moves out over the city. Inside Gracie Mansion, Venkman is at a late dinner with Janine and several mayoral advisors. They're all staring, transfixed out the window at the supernatural vision before them. The sparking clouds continue moving over the city, heading towards the ocean just off the tip of the island.
Somebody get me the Ghostbusters.
Outside on the city's streets, Dana and Walt exit an apartment building and, seeing everyone stopped dead in their tracks, follow the collective gaze skyward. Dana reaches over, taking Walt's hand.
We need to go.
Outside Gracie Mansion, people are running and screaming in every direction out in front of the mayor's mansion. Pandemonium is everywhere. Screaming down the streets, sirens wailing, lights flashing. And then, the original Ecto-1. The vehicle skids around a corner, bumping onto the curb and coming to a stop. Ray, Williams, and Egon hurry out, sprinting up the steps.
Ray!
Ray turns, seeing Dana and Walt run up to them.
Where is he, Ray? Where's Oscar?
Where's our son, Stanz?
Ignoring Walt, Ray takes Dana by the arm, reassuring her.
He's safe, Dana. They're on their way here now. Come on inside.
I didn't know where else to go.
You did the right thing. We'll get to the bottom of this.
Inside Gracie Mansion, every member of the mayoral staff are all glued to the windows, passing around popcorn. The pulsating black clouds are now off the tip of the city, over the ocean. Stantz and the group walk through the mayor's mansion unimpeded, past the group of window gawkers. Inside the mayor's office, the doors fling open to the inner chamber. Stantz, Egon, and the others enter. Venkman stands at the window, his tie undone, another glass of scotch in his hand. He quickly downs it, trying to be discreet about it. There's about 8 advisors and officials in the room. They all don't look happy as they see Stantz and Egon.
Where's the rest?
They're on their way.
What about the kid?
He's fine.
Relieved at the news, Venkman puts down the empty glass. Dana and Walt are the last to come into the office. Pete Venkman is stopped dead in his tracks. He and Dana meet eyes.
Dana.
Dana doesn't give him the time of day. She walks over to the window, worried. Walt joins her. Venkman curtly turns back to Ray and Egon.
The head of the fire department would like to know what's going on.
This could be the big one, Pete.
Janine, sitting off behind the group, chirps up.
I could have told you that, boss. Once I saw something actually ascend to the heavens from Staten Island, I canceled my plans.
Venkman and Ray turn to Janine, eyebrows cocked.
Venkman, tonight Winston and the recruits were investigating a focused PKE pocket on Staten Island. There was an ancient negative energy capacitator in the catacombs beneath the building. It looks like Oscar triggered it.
Triggered it?
This thing was collecting negative energy from Von Grauen and the cursed artifacts, powering itself up, getting more and more PKE juice. I'm sorry to have to tell you this, Dana, but it looks like Oscar has the same affinity for attracting negative psychokinetic energy that you do.
Oh, that's just great.
Maybe that shaking bed thing wasn't just puberty after all.
Oh, bullshit!
The group turns to Williams, sitting in the corner. His nose is in the funerary languages book. He looks up, visibly shaken.
If this is what I think this is, then I understand why that PK energy is collecting over the ocean.
The whole room goes silent and everyone slowly leans in.
It's good, right?
I'm pretty sure it's the language we saw and heard down there belongs to the ancient religious worship, the Order of the Old Ones.
Precambrian extraterrestrial gods, believed to lie dormant beneath the planet's oceans for billions of years. So the worshippers believe.
Everyone looks to Ray.
So, Van Grauen was just another source of energy for that thing to steal from to power up. That would explain the energy beam that shot upward.
Everyone looks to Egon.
Yeah, the cloud over the ocean. All of that energy focused into the cloud particles. And now it's collecting and queued up over the ocean to wake up their god.
Everyone looks to Ray. The assortment of officials in suits and ties, considering the absolute, is comical in and of itself.
And lo, upon the augmentation of the necessary means, the great ancient gods will be awakened from their ancient slumber to again claim rightfully what hath always been rightful to them.
A solemn quiet goes over the room as everyone looks to one and the other. And right on cue, a slow vibration begins throughout the entire city. Car alarms begin to go off outside. Glass breaks.
What is that? What is happening?
And Venkman, Spengler, and Stantz look at each other with non-verbal understanding of what's coming. Something big. Exterior New York City. From the tip of the island, the ocean depths loom before the bustling metropolis. Above, the pulsating energy cloud crackles, flashes. A blinding beam of energy shoots down, smashing into the glassy surface of the ocean. Down, down, down to the very depths beneath the ocean surface. A dark shape forms. A tremendous shape, an impossible shape, displacing tons and tons of water as it slowly rises from the incalculable depths. Inside Gracie Mansion, one of the advisors gets off his cell phone.
Mayor, the president is on the line.
Lenny?
And we need to meet with FEMA to go over emergency scenarios. They're already convening.
Venkman grabs his coat, turning to the group.
What do you need from the city?
We'll head off whatever that thing is at the Brudgemore docks, but we're going to need backup, Pete. Lots of it.
The National Guard work?
It's a start. And get an official escort to meet up with Winston. At the rate the city's going to hell, he'll be all night getting to here.
Get on top of that pronto. I'll be along in a minute.
Janine and the officials exit.
Ray?
Stay here, Dana. It's safe. Oscar and the others are on their way. We've got work to do.
Ray, Egon, and Williams head out of the building with no time to spare. Venkman stands alone next to his desk. Dana and Walt, the only others still in the room. Walt senses what's going on.
I'm gonna go grab a coffee.
He exits the room.
It's good to see you again, Dana.
I wish I can say the same, Peter.
A moment passes.
He's fine. Oscar.
Oh, and when have you ever worried about that?
Another moment of hostile silence.
No, he's my goddamn son, too.
You haven't been a father to him in a long time, Peter.
You never gave me the chance.
They need examples, Peter. They need someone there. Once it loses its appeal, you just push it away like everything else. You were the closest thing that he ever had to a father. And now he's out there with Ray and with Egon, and he's just trying to fill the gap that you left behind in his life.
Venkman's shaken up, trying hard to fight the emotion from showing through his face.
And now who knows how long until you get bored of running the city.
Suddenly, an ungodly, earth-shaking subterranean bellow rumbles through the city. Dana and Venkman don't break their gaze.
Especially now that you actually have to take some responsibility.
Dana turns and heads after Walt, upset. Venkman stands in defeated silence, his face stone. Exterior, the city streets. Stantz and the others emerge onto the streets, people everywhere still gazing upward. Adding to the pandemonium, another subterranean bellow. Ray grabs a CB radio out of the open window of the Ecto-1.
Winston, you read me?
Loud and clear. We met up with the emergency escort. On our way.
Change of plan, Z. Rendezvous at the Brudgemore docks. Looks like that pulsating cloud just awakened an elder god. We've got to try to cut it off before it flattens the city.
After a moment of silence.
Fine.
Ray and the others hop into Ecto-1 and peel out. Inside the mayoral advisory office, Venkman is seated at a long table, flanked on all sides by advisors, emergency officials, chiefs of departments. They're all yelling and arguing, going over maps and plans. It's obvious Venkman has no say in the matters. He's merely the figurehead that will address the press once the time comes. Janine comes up next to Venkman, plopping down in a chair. In a corner of the room, a television streams live aerial footage of glowing spooks and specters as they whip around the city.
It's an amazing sight, Wendy. This bizarre black cloud just moments ago shot some sort of energy beam down into the ocean.
On the screen, the aerial footage suddenly whips to the right, spotting Ecto-1 speeding through the busied streets. The camera tracks with it.
And a Ghostbusters unit is making its way south through the congested streets. It's now, it looks like it's coming to a stop at the Bridgemore dockyards at the tip of the island.
On the screen, Stantz, Egon, and Williams exit the vehicle, grabbing the classic proton packs from the back hatch.
Wendy, it looks like some members of the Ghostbusters team are convening at the edge of the island. What they're doing there is anyone's guess.
Venkman sits up watching the screen. Janine takes notice. The news chopper hovers over the city's streets in the air above Stantz, Egon, and Williams. Off in the distance, the gargantuan, electrically charged cloud continues to loom mightily over the ocean. A crowd of people spot Stantz and the others. Ghostbusters! More and more people begin to come over, forming a crowd that grows larger and larger. Stantz and Egon, relishing the attention, wave and greet at them. Down the street, the sounds of thousands of emergency vehicles, crunching metal. Egon, Stantz, and Williams turn, spotting the brigade. 30 cop cars, 20 military jeeps, and 4 Ecto SUVs, all of them with lights on and sirens blaring, and they're led by a city bulldozer that's pushing abandoned cars out of the way.
There's your tax dollars at work right there.
The emergency vehicles all span and stop. Cops and soldiers exiting and leading Winston and the rest of the team out to meet Ray, Egon, and Williams. Out of the other Ghostbuster vehicles emerge several of the recently unemployed members of the company, all suited up. They're the Ghostbusters team. They convene in the middle of the street, hundreds of onlookers and military personnel behind them. Ray puts on a reassuring arm around Oscar, still covered in slime.
You all right, kid?
I think so. Who'd have thought, huh?
There's some wonky genes in your family tree, sport.
So what's the plan here?
Okay, everybody. We have very strong reasons to believe that an elder god is at this very moment making its way through the ocean depths on a crash course for New York City.
The police and military all inch closer, everyone's attention rapt.
And our best course of action is to stop it right here along the water's edge. Captain?
A brigadier captain stands next to Stanz, addressing his troops.
Span out for an even dispersal. Everybody in positions now.
The massive militant crowd all spread out. The brigadier captain commanding the cops and troops. Ray Stantz barking orders at his unit of Ghostbusters. They all spread out along the water's edge. The Ghostbusters team in the center, flanked on either side by the military, troops, and jeeps. Boom. The ground shakes. Everyone gets jostled off a little center. Boom. Another massive impact. The creature nears.
Hold it nice and steady. Wait for our signal.
And the behemoth finally breaks the surface of the water, its slimy hide glistening from the lights of the city. The military and police gawk upward, their faces full of disbelief. The Ghostbusters gawk upward, equally shaken. The behemoth has risen from the depths. Police helicopters circle it, illuminating bits of it with hovering spotlights. Its size is immense. Its visage a tangled web of writhing tentacles, spotted with thousands of unblinking eyes. Its arms reach out, pulling its backside from the ocean. Every step elicits a massive rubble.
Let her rip!
The entire line of uniformed men and women open fire. 30 caliber machine guns rattle off alongside rockets, which rattle off alongside swaying, crackling proton beams. It's an amazing, deafening sight. The ballistic assault peppering the gargantuan monster in puffing clouds of impact smoke. The proton beams scorch and rip at its flesh, splitting open small pockets of scaly flesh that dump green bile to the streets below. The monster rears back its head, roaring to the heavens, its countless tentacles writhing and whipping to and fro. The squad, firing relentlessly, damaging the monster, but only slowing it down. It loses balance, shuddering left and crashing beneath the water, its gigantic limbs flailing, disappearing below as a tidal surge billows forward, spraying the unit along the water's edge, knocking over most of them, drenching everyone. Ray and Egon are slow to their feet, sopping wet.
We've got to keep blasting it. We're slowing it down.
But I don't think we're stopping it.
Is that it? Did we get it?
Ray and Egon exchange worried glances.
We may need to rethink our strategy here, fellas.
And we're getting double time for this, right?
The behemoth crests above the tumultuous waves, rising once more, pissed off, battle-scarred.
Oh, get the hell out of here, everybody!
and the giant monster lumbers over the top of them, everyone scattering for cover. The behemoth makes its way into the city, smashing through the buildings. Ray and the others congregate, spirits zapped. It doesn't look good.
Even at full output, the proton packs don't have the juice to take that thing down.
Not the way we're using them.
Winston and Egon know all too well what that means.
You may be right. Crossing the streams may be the only way.
We were lucky to survive that last time, fellas.
Ray looks to the path of smoking destruction left by the giant.
There's no time to argue. 3 packs at full neutronos should be sufficient. Cross the streams, send this thing back to hell.
The other Ghostbuster recruits protest around them.
What the hell? You'd be vaporized.
I need you to authorize my unemployment.
Oscar stands off to the side, sucker punched by the news.
Gotta be a better way, Ray.
Ray doesn't have the jump to look Oscar in the eye.
That thing's tearing through the city as we speak. There's no time to argue about this.
But Ray.
Finally, Stantz makes eye contact with the kid. Oscar's eyes are getting wet.
There's a chance we'll be all right, kid. But we've got to roll the dice on this one. It's the only way.
Ray, Egon, I love you guys and I love this city, but I've got a wife and 2 kids that I love more than anything else.
We completely understand.
We'd never ask you to do that, Z.
From behind the 3 of them, a new voice.
Come here, Squirt.
Egon, Ray, and Winston turn to see Pete Venkman taking off Oscar's proton pack.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I could have sworn you said you never put on one of these things again.
Last time. Trust me.
So what? That's it? You're just gonna march right off and die?
Venkman looks over to Ray, Egon, and Winston, then back to Oscar.
Listen, I don't expect you to understand all this right now.
You're fucking right, I don't understand.
We're the only ones who can do anything about this, kid. I wish to hell there were other people out there, but there's not right now.
Venkman begins to walk over to the waiting Ecto-1, shamefaced. Oscar trudges alongside him, getting angrier.
So that's it. You're just leaving again. You're abandoning me again.
Venkman stops dead in his tracks, turning to face him again. Tracy, Parker, and Williams and the other recruits all grapple onto Oscar, trying to hold him back.
I know I wasn't the best dad, but maybe now you'll see.
And with that, Venkman joins Stantz, Winston, and Spengler at the Ecto-1. Oscar tries to break free of the other recruits who fight to hold him back.
Take me with you! No, don't go. Please take me with you.
He's fighting and kicking, upset as all hell. Winston, Stantz, Egon, and Venkman stand next to the idling car, barely able to make eye contact with him as he's held back.
Thank you for helping, Pete. We couldn't successfully activate subatomic particle reversal without you.
Hey, do I ever miss the chance to be on the news?
In the city streets, the Ecto-1 speeds across the streets, following the wake of destruction left by the mammoth beast. Inside Ecto-1, the original Ghostbuster crew are at the ready. None of them, however, save Winston, dressed in the jumpsuits. And Winston says,
Looks like it's running parallel on 16th Street.
Let's cut it off the Baymore. We've got to get high up, though. Rooftops, most likely.
Cut over to 7th, fastest way up.
No, take Figaro. Less intersections.
All the traffic's going to be routed that way, Zeddy. You're going to get stuck.
God damn it, Venkman, shut up and let me take care of this. You haven't cared about any of this for 15 years.
Egon and Winston exchange oh shit glances. The Ecto-1 takes another corner hard.
Ray, I moved on with my life.
I know how easy it is for you to walk away from this, Pete, but not us. Not when we know what's always at stake.
Ray, you had so many buyout offers. You could be a millionaire right now. This company took over your life. That's why I got the hell out when I did. Look, it was a hell of a ride. But I have other things I want to do in my life. And this thing was getting in the way of a lot of them.
He turns to stare Ray in the eyes.
Have you ever thought about that?
Ray sits, steaming.
Well, I guess none of that matters now.
You're telling me? I always knew it'd be the end of my career if I ever put one of these packs on again.
The Ecto makes another sharp turn and skids to a halt. Todd Pendergast is waiting outside a large apartment complex. The guys exit the vehicle, looking up and down the road.
Okay, Todd, you ready to do or die?
Hey, as long as I get my job back, what the hell?
We've got no time to waste. You two better get out of here.
Todd turns and hops into the passenger seat of the idling Ecto-1. Egon looks up to the top of the apartment building.
Height looks good. Just be sure to bring the bolt cutters and a fire axe.
Good luck, fellas. I really mean that.
Thanks, Z. Now get the hell out of here before it's too late.
Inside the apartment building, Ray, Stantz, Egon, Spengler, and Pete Venkman trudge into the main lobby, suited up with their classic proton packs. The doorman looks up, spotting the Ghostbusters entering with proton packs, a fire axe, and bolt cutters. He jumps to his feet, walking alongside them. The Ghostbusters, here, now!
Wish I had better news for you, Scooter. How many floors does this joint have?
They make their way to the elevators. Stantz hits the top floor button. They wait. There are 43 floors. May I inquire as to what you need those tools for?
Possessed fire exit door on the top floor.
Yeah, we received an emergency call from these premises approximately 17 minutes ago.
Yeah, already been 2 casualties.
Wet ones, too.
Venkman draws both hands out in a this big gesture. The doorman doesn't know what to believe. Ah, Christ.
He's got nothing to do with it.
We've never had a report of any spiritual activity here before.
Well, there's always a first time, Chief. Unfortunately for Mr. and Mrs. Valentino, they should have read the instructions clearer on their Ouija board before use.
Ouija board?
Oh, geez, yeah. Quickest and cheapest gateway to the parallel spiritual dimension. Why do you think they banned them in schools?
How Parker Brothers keeps those things on toy store shelves is beyond us.
The elevator dings, the doors open. The Ghostbusters enter. The doorman stays on the outside, getting worked up into a nervous frenzy. The elevator doors begin to close.
Evacuate the building, please. Do you have the time?
And then slam shut like a question mark on Venkman's last sentence. Outside in the city streets, the news chopper circles town, staying high and out of the harm's way from the behemoth below.
And this creature continues cutting a swath of destruction through downtown. It's only every 10 to 12 years you get the chance at a site like this, Diane.
The Ecto-1 squeals around a corner below, following in the destructive wake of the shambling Elder God as it makes its way through Midtown Manhattan.
And here's another site. It looks like the Ghostbusters are in hot pursuit.
Inside Ecto-1, Winston cuts another corner hard. Pendergast is suited up with a proton pack leaning out the open window.
Wait till I get in nice and close and then let it have it.
Really? That's your plan?
As if on cue, through the smoke up ahead, the behemoth materializes.
Do it! Cook it!
Pendergast leans further out the window, screaming in terror as he sprays the behemoth with a proton beam. Outside on a rooftop, the exit door is busted open. 3 Ghostbusters come out onto the roof, taking in the great view of a smoking cityscape.
Well, it's a nice view for the price.
You mean eternal damnation?
All right. That thing should be making its way towards us any minute. Get into position.
Spreading out evenly at the edge of the building, overlooking the streets below, the 3 stand guard, anxious, impatient. The silence again. The 3 of them together for the first time in close to 20 years.
Well, I guess if I had to choose a way to go.
Yeah.
Better than dying of old age in some nursing home in East Texas.
Speak for yourself, Ray.
The street below reveals the Ecto-1 off in the distance, making its way toward the foot of the building. A proton stream shooting backward out of the moving vehicle, scorching the flesh of the in pursuit behemoth.
Here it comes!
The Ecto-1 skids around a sharp corner, leading the gargantuan creature directly into the Ghostbusters' path. The three Ghostbusters turn on their packs. They hum to life, the old familiar sound.
Full neutrinos.
They click the sticks. The proton packs emit a low growl as the energy output has been adjusted to the max.
My back's getting hot.
The three look to one another one final time, conveying the oldest of sentiments wordlessly. This is it, and they know it. In the sky ahead, they spot the news helicopter approaching.
All right, fellas. Let's set an example.
They let loose 3 torrents of undulating energy. The proton streams have never looked like this before. They're bright white. On the behemoth, its features more clearly illuminated now as it's blasted by 4 highly energized proton streams. The immense deity is punched backwards, its tentacled head whipping into the air as it's shoved off balance. Venkman, Spengler, and Stanz try hard to steady the proton wands. The vibrations are immense, their faces racked with pain as they're blasted by unseen winds. And the towering behemoth lets loose a shoal's shattering bellow. It regains its posture, lumbering forward against the onslaught of the 3 proton streams scorching the surface.
All right, fellas, you know the drill.
Do it! Cross the streams!
The Ghostbusters once again do the unthinkable, slowly moving their proton wands inward toward each other. The proton streams inch ever closer, their energies drawn to one and the other. They tangle, spraying blue sparks. The 3 streams fuse into one supercharged beam. High angle on the news chopper footage. It shows all of this happening as it circles the carnage from above.
Oh, Diane, something extraordinary is happening down there. It looks like the Ghostbusters have this thing on the ropes.
Inside the mayor's office, Dana and Walt watch the whole thing unfold on a television set. Outside on the rooftop, the super stream burrows into the behemoth's slimy head. Its facial tentacles cook up and whip off in every direction as it bellows in pain. Reaching up toward them, it makes one final lunge as total protonic reversal. Everything for 7 blocks goes a blinding white, a deafening crack as a blue vortex shoots upward in every direction. They shake the buildings, glass breaks. A gaggle of bystanders have gathered underneath the building, alongside the parked Ecto SUV, alongside Winston and Pendergast.
Everybody get down, get to cover.
The 2 Ghostbusters push back the growing collection of gawkers as bits and pieces of burning rain down into the streets. The cosmic-sized explosion echoes off into the distance, dissipating, and a ton of monster goop splatters down on everything, soaking everyone in the vicinity. Winston and Todd emerge from the crowd, spattered with fluorescent shades of black and green. Pulling up in a car, Oscar and Dana exit, running over to Winston.
Winston, tell me they're all right.
Winston looks up to the smoldering ruins of the rooftop, then back to Dana. He can't make eye contact with her.
Dana, I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry.
He looks over to Oscar, putting a hand on his shoulder. Oscar is visibly shaken, not comprehending how this could be the end.
I'm sorry, little man.
You're really gone, huh?
They cooked that thing to oblivion, is what they did. They saved us all.
Dana looks up to the rooftop, tears forming in her eyes. Pendergast comes up next to Winston, Dana, and Oscar, and the 4 stand side by side, looking up at the smoking rooftop in disbelief. And we fade out to Ghostbusters headquarters. 3 portraits, Stantz, Spengler, and Venkman, framed and mounted on the wall within the firehouse. The words "In Memoriam" are stenciled underneath them. Winston, Zedemore, Todd Pendergast, and Oscar Barrett walk past the portraits, down a corridor in the office. In the midst of the shilling, yet another produced Ghostbusters infomercial. Oscar, as usual, sticks to the background, looking damn awkward on camera.
And that's why we're offering a half-off pricing event until the end of October. Todd?
So don't wait another moment. Give us a call today. There's nothing worse than a nagging poltergeist to really ruin your weekend. Seriously.
Cut to outside Ghostbusters headquarters. Winston, Todd, and Oscar stand in front of the rest of the new recruits. Among them, Tracy, Parker, and Williams.
Ghostbusters Inc. is a state-sponsored and fully insured to look after all of your paranormal investigations and eliminations. Our courteous and efficient staff is on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So don't wait another minute. Ghostbusters Incorporated.
We're ready to believe
Ready
you.
to believe you.
Cut to inside Ghostbusters headquarters. It's night. Walking down the hallway, Janine fumbles with a stack of unpaid bills and invoices. She's also talking on her Bluetooth headset.
Well, if you're looking to get some of that money back, you're looking in the wrong place, ma'am. We just trap them and file them. If we got involved with collections, we'd never have the time to...
Turning a corner, Janine freezes in her place, dropping the folders to the ground. Ghostly vistages of Stanz, Venkman, and Egon sit around a table playing cards. Venkman looks over at Janine, unimpressed.
Just don't tell the health inspector.
The end. And we're clear.